what taking responsibility means is no blame. That the opposite of a blame culture is a responsibility culture. So how many people have said to you in the past, yeah, I'll do it, I'll sort it, yeah, no, yeah, that's on my head. And then they've come back and gone, well, I couldn't do it because. And then there's a blame that comes next. So taking responsibility is actually quite hard to do. Or should I say challenging? Let's say challenging is a better word, isn't it? Challenging is a better word to do it. So when you take responsibility for something, what that really means is that hell or high water, you deliver what you say you're going to do, unless you manage expectation to the person that's accountable weeks prior to the deadline if possible. Okay, so let me just say that again. Taking responsibility, certainly in RACI situation, what that means is hell or high water, you are going to deliver what you say you're going to deliver, unless there is a genuine reason why you can't deliver it and you manage expectation way prior to the delivery date. Turning up on the delivery date saying, well, I tried to do it but I couldn't because, is not taking responsibility. And that's why it's really quite hard. And I've heard every blame trick in the book, and I'm sure most people have on this call. You've heard every blame trick on the book as well. And people have got, well, I couldn't do it because they didn't give me the report on time. I couldn't do it because this happened. I couldn't do it because the weather's bad. Whatever, right? When it comes to it, let's use the example of, well, I couldn't do it because I didn't get the information on time. Okay? That's not taking responsibility, that's blaming another department. So actually, the person that really takes responsibility makes sure that they build a relationship with somebody in that other department to a level of trust to make sure that you get that information on time when you need it so you can deliver your piece of work that you need to deliver on time. They won't turn around going, well, it wasn't my fault, they didn't give me the information on time. Can you see that the blame is opposite to responsibility, and that responsibility is to the person that's accountable? Okay, so by now you might be thinking, do you know what, there's a bit more to this than I actually thought about making somebody responsible. Give them a job description, make them responsible. Doesn't mean they're going to take responsibility. You can tell people what to do and you can give them a list, but whether they take responsibility for it is an individual, it's an internal decision that has to be made, and that is helped by better relationships. So what it means, if you're going to take responsibility for a job, that let's say that you're not very confident. Let's say you go, yes, okay, I'll get that done, but you don't quite know how you're going to do it, you're not very confident. That means you need to grow your confidence. So you need to grow your self-belief. There are ways of doing that, but if you're going to take responsibility for that task, you have to grow your confidence. Or, let's say it's a particular part of a job you don't particularly like doing very much. And let's say it's a mundane, repetitive task that you've got to do. If you take responsibility for it, then you have to get bothered. You have to motivate yourself in order to do it. So there's another choice there. Get confident, get bothered, because you've said you're going to take responsibility for it. Understanding exactly what you're responsible for. Really, really important. Understanding exactly what you're responsible for. What is exactly I am being asked to do? Because I've also seen this happen in the past. Somebody turns up and says, I've done it. And the boss says, the person that's accountable says, that's not quite what I meant. That's not quite what we need. So, rather than sitting there going, well, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me that? That's what I thought. Actually, if you've taken responsibility for it, it means you're going to absolutely get the definition of what that means, okay? In order to make sure you deliver the right thing, okay? Let's say you take responsibility for something and you're not quite sure how to do it, okay? Let's say you do that. Well, you're going to have to put some time in to generate ideas and plan in order to change it, in order to do it. Yeah, you might have to do something you've never done before. But rather than turning up going, well, I haven't done that before, boss, so I don't know what to do, if you've taken responsibility for it, what it means is that you've got to come up with some new ideas and some new ways of doing things. Okay, and that's within us all to be able to do. We can't just go back to the boss and go, well, I didn't know what I was doing. Because that's not taking responsibility, is it? Communication and buy-in. Now this one actually spans quite a lot of the letters of RACI. Okay, inform, consult, support, and responsibility. So, if we take responsibility for something, it is our job to communicate and gain buy-in from whoever we need in the world in order to deliver our part of the RACI, to deliver our job, okay? And this will come into, when we get to support and involve in a moment, this will come into it. This is probably one of the biggest ones out of all of these things for responsibility that people don't spend enough time doing. They don't spend enough time building relationships, talking to people, communicating with people. Yeah, one of the, if not the biggest reason for things failing in an organization is miscommunication or lack of communication. By far the biggest. If I was to run an employee engagement survey for you now, and I've run several, probably hundreds now in my career in different organizations, I can write down poor communication before I even get the results back. Because we're not all great at doing this. So we have to take time to make sure we are communicating, we are talking to people, but more importantly, we are gaining their buy-in so they can help us deliver what we are responsible for. Okay? So if you need help from somebody in another department, and what you need help with is number 1 on your list and number 20 on their list, you need to have a working relationship with that person and gain their buy-in to move your priority up their list. Otherwise, you may not be able to deliver what you're responsible for. And remember, the excuse of, well, I didn't get it in time, is not going to fly when you're taking responsibility. So responsibility, like I said, it's quite challenging to do. You are responsible for what action you take when. So, the biggest excuse in business for things not being done, in fact, I'm going to ask you guys this. So in the chat box, go to the chat box now. What is the biggest excuse in business for things not being done? What do we think that is? Didn't have enough time. Eddie was straight in there. Thank you, Eddie. It's the biggest excuse in business. I haven't got time. Didn't have enough time. Well, for the people that know me on this call today, they know what I'm going to say next. We all get 86,400 seconds every day. Some people just tend to use it better. Okay? You can't manage time. You can only manage your priorities and your energy levels during the day in order to be able to do that. Okay? So, you choose what actions you take when. Okay? Now you might be sitting here going, well, my boss tells me what to do. Well, yeah, but by proxy, you choose to do the job, so you choose to take the action on the back of it. Okay? So, and I know we spent a good 10 minutes on this, but I think it's really important because everybody gets to kind of support and involve, and that's all important. But the first thing everybody's got to know in RACI is, what does responsibility really mean? And for me, that's what it really means. It means being a player, taking responsibility, making choices to be able to deliver what you have promised, no matter what, unless there is a genuine reason, not an excuse, a genuine reason, and you have managed expectation prior to that being delivered. Because just rocking up on the day going, I haven't done it. And how many, this is a rhetorical question, you don't have to answer it, but how many meetings do you go to and you talk about tasks that should have been done 3 meetings ago? Okay? I know you will all be sitting there going, yeah, that happens to me. And the reason that happens, and I'm sorry to say, but nobody took responsibility for that task. Because if they did, it would be done. Okay? So what it meant was it probably wasn't high on their agenda, which means they didn't take responsibility for it. And they didn't then do all of these things to make sure it was gonna happen. So we need to take time out of the equation, because people that take responsibility don't blame time.